All right, we are live on YouTube professionally. Okay, so first of all, let me just talk about the 1% better concept before we actually go into the tree of success concept. The 1% better, a lot of people say, why do you say that? What does it mean? I don't understand it. And this is the theory that has been talked about for a while, is that when you get 1% better every single day, 1% better could be you went and you failed, but you understood why you failed, okay? Here's an example. Yesterday, I was on the street, approached the girl. She was not having the conversation at all and was like, I have a boyfriend. She didn't have a boyfriend, but I just wasn't comfortable. So yes, someone could say, you know what, you took a step back and nothing happened. Okay, but I look at it and I say, okay, how could I have calibrated better? How could I have read the audience better, or at least acknowledged the audience? She was a little uncomfortable, so I should have pulled back a little bit. So that is 1% better, because I actually understood that it was my fault. Okay, that's an internal locus of control instead of her fault, which is an external locus of control. In other words, you look at outside circumstances and you say, that was the cause of it. No. You were the cause of it. You are the cause of the effect, which is going to go to the tree concept, which I'm going to be talking about in a second. But essentially, 1% better means that when I approach today a pretty girl or someone that I want to do business with or asking for referrals, is that I've calibrated, okay, I need a layoff, I'm being a little too aggressive, or I need to be more aggressive. Okay, 1% better means you're layering this 1% better. By the time you look back at the end of the year, you aren't just 365 days. You are compounding who you were times the 1% better every single day. So this is the tree concept. You're essentially presented with all these decisions throughout the day. And it's just, you could go into the argument about free will. So in other words, you have the free will as long as you're in a first world country, and there's obviously everything behind it, which is you're allowed to make decisions, you're not being pressured to make decisions, and you have the ability to make free decisions. Free decisions means that you're not imprisoned, that there is no authoritative power above you forcing you to make those decisions. There's no incentive behind making those decisions, but even if there is an incentive behind making those decisions, so in other words, an incentive is, if I go to work, I will get paid. If I don't go to work, I will not get paid. I'll get a call from my boss. I might get fired. Okay? That's an incentive, not go to work. But maybe you're hungover, you don't want to go to work, you don't like work, maybe it's not your passion or whatever the case is. But you legitimately have the free will to make a decision. But you also have the free will throughout your entire day. Should I sit or stand at my desk? Should I make sales calls or not make sales calls? Should I go and get water or should I get iced tea? Should I get iced tea or should I get coffee? Should I have ice in that coffee? Should I pay with a credit card or cash? You're presented with all these ideas, or all these decisions. You open the door. Should you go through it? Should you allow someone to go through it? Do you talk to that person? Do you not talk to that person? Do you say, dude, that's an awesome suit. That's not an awesome suit. What I'm getting at is that your life is literally presenting you with decisions all day. And how you actually make those decisions affects the next decision that you make. Okay? So this is the concept behind the tree concept. Essentially the tree of success. That's the best way to look at it. Is the tree of success means that you have one single decision. Okay, that single decision means that your alarm goes off. Okay, from there you're then presented, what do I do? Okay, I go onto my phone. That is the ego. That's not good. Okay, the self, capital S. Okay, so there's going to be essentially words that I'm going to be interchanging right here. Okay, self and order and discipline are one category. Okay, that's exactly what you should be doing in your life. Okay, then you have chaos and ego in the other category. Okay, chaos means stay in bed, be lazy, don't do anything, go into your comfort zone, retreat, don't do anything you want to do. That's ego and that's chaos. Okay, because if you just do chaos, that's what happens in your life. And then when you start retreating, that means your ego is taking over. In other words, your comfort zone is taking over. The opposite is true. The self, which is order, which is discipline, which is tough, which is outside your comfort zone. Okay? So you have a decision. Every single decision comes with a choice. You could either go into order and discipline and yourself, or you could go into chaos and ego. Okay, I wake up, first decision, what do I do? The self and the discipline and the order is I get out of bed. The ego, the chaos says stay in bed and either snooze your alarm or go on Instagram, go on my phone, whatever the case is. So alarm goes off. Let's first start down the ego, okay? Let's snooze the alarm, okay? So you made a decision. You could have gotten out of bed, which is order and is self, but you said, you know what? I'm gonna make the decision to stay in bed. That's ego and that's chaos, okay? You stay in bed, okay? You snooze the alarm, okay? Then the alarm goes off again. Your decision again is, do I go back into order and self, or do I go on my phone? Okay, let's go on my phone. Okay, let's check Instagram, let's check Facebook, let's go email, text message, news, YouTube. Okay, now I'm done with that. Again, you are presented with a decision. Do I go into order and self and get out of bed? You know what? No, let's stay in bed. Let's think of ways of making not going to the gym an easy out. You know what? I've been going. It's the day before July 4th, so you continue. Do you understand that this tree, the decision started here, and then you just kept on going further and further and further? So in other words, let's now go into self and order. Alarm goes off. I get out of bed, I don't go on my phone. That's self, okay? Decision says, okay, I'm out of bed, what do I do? I could either sit on my couch, go back into chaos and ego, and check my phone, or I could just go put on my gym shoes or my run shoes, whatever the case is, go to the gym. Okay, let's choose that. I'm at the gym, awesome workout. Now I do go to work. Okay, what do I eat for breakfast? Do you understand what you're doing the entire time? You are literally a tree of success, either choosing ego and chaos or self and order, okay? Do you understand when you're here and you keep on choosing your ego or you keep on choosing yourself, each one has a split. So you go down and then it splits. It goes down and it splits. So by the time you get to work, you could either be in complete chaos, complete ego, or in complete control, complete discipline, complete self and order. And this is how far apart you are. Okay? This is the thing, is that if you make a bad decision, you could always start making the right decision. But if you make a bad decision, you make a right decision, you make a bad decision, you make a bad decision, that you are literally separating yourself. This is the gap right here. Okay? The gap was one decision that started the top. There is always a cause. There always is an effect. There's always something that happens from your decision that could be good, that could be bad. Okay? That is the moral of success. The moral of success is not something grandiose. It just says first principles, which was, I think it was actually Aristotle that was the first one that brought up first principles. Elon Musk has made it clearly way more popular now by saying, okay, how do I make a cool looking electric car that goes really far? You could charge it wherever you want, and I can do software updates. Okay, let's work on software updates. Let's work on the battery. We need to have a gigafactory to produce that. We need to invest in, obviously, the design, and then we take those profits, and then we start trickling it down to other automobiles, and we start reducing the price, blah, blah, blah. He literally wakes up with the same amount of hours we do. But his decision says, if I go on Instagram, if I go on my chaos track, that leads me down to not being successful. If I, free will, go down the success track, that is literally the huge triangle. And again, it goes like this, and then each one has a decision. There's only two decisions, okay? Yes, you go to a restaurant and it says, I have 18 items to order. But on those 18 items, there's good things to order and there are bad things to order. I was out with my buddy probably about three days ago, and him and his wife came. or his wife ended up meeting with us, and they were going to a Broadway play. And she goes, I'm really hungry before we go to this Broadway play, and we're at the restaurant. We're actually at the bar of the restaurant, having a couple of drinks, bullshitting, things like that. And and I'm talking to him about triathlons because he wants to get into triathlons. I think he just did 2 half marathons or a 10K and a half marathon, whatever the case is. And I was going over it. I'm like, dude, you got to be disciplined. You got to go to bed early. I'm saying all these things. You got to have nutrition. You got to fuel. All these things that are just going through my mind. His wife gets there. Again, there's a menu. And she goes, let's do the something sliders. It was deep fried sliders, okay? You have a decision. There's salads and there's deep fried sliders, okay? So just know that every decision has a consequence. It could be a good or it could be a bad. And just understand that there is free will behind your decisions. Don't have I have to. Always say I choose to, okay? That is more empowering. I choose to wake up. I choose. Here comes another thing as well. I'm reading another book, and it is not around. I don't know where it is. Here it is. So it's definitely bootlegged, and it's called The 3 Magic Words, and essentially it goes into there's a causation to every decision that you make, and blah, blah, blah. It's an old school. It's a little woo-woo. I don't recommend it for everyone. But essentially in there, they talk about that when you have a thought, this is essentially the essence of meditation is when you have a thought and you're meditating or you have a thought that's either good or bad, it doesn't really matter, is that you have to say that you are the observer of the thought. You are the observer of whatever the thought is that's passing around. Like it's a cloud and it says, you're a pansy or you're never going to be wealthy or your spouse hates you or whatever the case is. You have to pretend and actually say, I am the observer. Some people say you're a spiritual being within a physical body, something along those lines. In other words, you are a being that's observing all these things and you're acting out within this body, this physical manifestation. Essentially, I don't know whether it's true or not, but the best way to actually look at it is when I have disempowering thoughts, I say, okay, I'm the observer of this disempowering thought. I'm the observer of, okay, when I'm pissed off, do I look at it and I say, I am pissed off, or do I say, oh, that's a thought of being pissed off, okay? You have the choice to continue being pissed off, or you have the choice of not being continuously pissed off. That's the best way to look at it is, I have a decision every moment to moment of my day. When you feel like I have no choice, that means you have an external locus of control. That means that things happen to you instead of things happening for you, and then you have no control of your life. That is chaos. That is going down the ego path you're going down the path of least resistance, okay? There's gonna be a lot of resistance in the beginning, okay? A lot of resistance is, I have to make sales calls. There's gonna be a lot of resistance if you don't make sales calls. A lot of resistance is, I have bills, I have to pay the IRS, I have debt, I have student loans, I have to buy a house that is not really what I wanna buy. That is the path of least resistance in the future. Okay, you're essentially debiting yourself in the future when you take the least resistance in the present. So in the present, if I keep on going 10 years, imagine this, I eat incorrectly for 10 years. Okay, in the future, I'm actually debiting diabetes, potential stroke, laziness, just all these health conditions. Okay, but the path of most, so that's most resistance in the future. If I have most resistance in the beginning, in the future it's going to be better. As, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. He said, those that take the path of most resistance in the beginning will be free in the future. Because making sales calls or eating properly or waking up and doing the right thing is not fucking easy, okay? That is your true self. You are not yourself and you are not your ego. You are not order and you are not chaos. You're observing these decisions. It really comes down to which one are you going to do? Which one do you really truly want to do every single moment to moment when that decision comes into your life? Do I make sales calls? Do I reach out to someone? Do I approach that pretty girl? Do I go to the gym? Do I snooze the alarm? Do I go on Instagram? Do I delete Facebook? Do I go on YouTube? When I'm on YouTube, do I look up politics? Do I care about politics? Essentially, you know, I'll leave it at this: is that you only have one life. Okay, I'm 33, turning 34 next Saturday. I have a lot of friends that are just really unhappy. There's a lot of girls that are very unhappy, but they are making the decision. They are making the decision to have earbuds in their ears, to not get approached, to not talk to anyone, to go to the gym with earbuds, to leave the gym with earbuds, even though they want someone that's in shape. They're going to work. They're not talking to anyone really at work. They're just doing the work, and they happen to be unhappy. They happen to be unhappy. Why are they unhappy? Why are you unhappy? Because nothing is changing in your life. You do the exact same thing every single day, okay? You're moving into chaos. Chaos is going to hit you at 39, 40, 41 years old. I was talking to someone yesterday, a client, she's turning 50. She's single, she wishes she has kids, she wishes she was married. She's 50. She's 50. She looks amazing. She looks stunning. Okay? It's not about her looks. It's not about anything else. But the thing is, do you really want to look in the past and say, I wish I did that? I wish I was more disciplined. I wish I woke up and went to the gym. I wish I didn't spend so much time on Instagram. This is something that I actually did. I multiplied the amount of time that I was on Instagram and on Facebook based on this, which is a device that counts how long you're on there, multiply it by say I'm 30 minutes. 30 minutes four times a week, which, by the way, most people are on it 30 minutes 7 times a day, okay? So that's 210 minutes a week times 4, okay? So that's 210 minutes per week times 4 weeks in a month. So that's 840 times 12. That's 8,000 or 10,000 hours or 10,000 minutes a year. A year. 10,000 divided by 60 equals 166 minutes, or 166 hours. That's almost 7 days. You are on Instagram. If you spend 30 minutes on anything, that is a week you are losing in a year. In a lifetime times 40 years, that's almost a year. That's almost a year. You are losing 1 year in your lifetime to Instagram if you spend it 30 minutes a day. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. There's so much shit that we're doing, including myself, that when you actually compound it and you look at it and you say, wow, I could see how that bad habit really, really isn't good for me. But then when I say this habit will be really, really good, imagine spending a whole year at the gym. Imagine that. And people can't wrap their head around that concept, but they can wrap it around the concept of saying, you know what, actually when I'm on Instagram for 1 year of my entire life, I think that's bad. 1 year! Imagine spending an entire year just scrolling through Instagram. That's crazy. And I just did that times 40 years, by the way, okay? This is the last thing I'm gonna say about this, is that we are short-term creatures. Obviously, we're short-term creatures because back in the day, we didn't have IRA, we didn't have savings accounts, we didn't have the future. We just were present. You know, today I was reading a book in the subway and this rat ran by on the tracks and I was like, that's what we were at one time. We were that rat that was just looking for safety or comfort or food or to procreate. That's really what we were. Okay, we were that. For millions of years, we were that rat that was just short-term focused. So when we bring up that we're debiting our future self, it doesn't click because we weren't evolved for that. We weren't evolved for actually saying, well, in the future, it's like, dude, there's no guarantee of the future. Disease, water, famine, war, fighting, food, anything, death, just doesn't really matter. Is that at any time you could be attacked, so you are very short-term focused. Okay? The problem is, nowadays, it's all mental. It is all mental. Just come to New York City, go on the subway, go on an elevator, look at all the people on their phone and understand, holy shit, they're gonna be regretting their life. Holy shit, they have no goals whatsoever. So I applaud you guys for actually being here, watching this live and understanding at moment to moment to moment to moment, you have a decision. There's only two decisions. You either go into order or you go into chaos. You either go into yourself, capital S, or you go into your ego, which is, I'm comfortable, I'm fine, you're wonderful the way you are. The problem with me saying you're wonderful the way you are, the problem behind that is that what if you actually don't feel that way? What if you actually feel I want to improve, but I'm being told I'm fine the way I am? So if I'm fine the way I am, and I actually don't feel that way, then I just say, this is the best I will be. Because people are telling me that this is the best I'm gonna be, so there's no need to be improving. Like, why would I improve if I'm being told this is the best I am? But if you actually feel that you could get a little bit better every single day, just 10 pages of reading, or one actual good YouTube video, whatever that case is, just 1% better. That's it. It's not grandiose. Have a floor and have a ceiling of, and this is the last thing, even though I've said that multiple times. So I am very happy fitness-wise, I'm very happy business-wise, and relationships, like I've said in many videos, that's the biggest thing that I need to improve, okay? I didn't say I don't like that area. I didn't say that I am failing in that area. I said I need to improve, okay? That's the area of improvement, okay? So there's a guy that's usually here making sales calls. Obviously it's July 4th or day before July 4th. And we get off a call and I say what was good and what needs improvement. I don't say what was good and what was bad. I say what's good and what needs improvement. So there's always room for improvement. I approached that pretty girl yesterday. She was younger. Younger girls don't get approached at all. So she was like, oh my God, what's going on? I have no idea. So you're literally, okay, Charles, come off a little less aggressive. And then, and I was in a rush, blah, blah, blah. So it's room for improvement is, okay, Charles, just go up a little bit more softer, play the audience instead of going in thinking that you know what you're doing all the time and that there will be responsive to it. Okay, so that was the area of room for improvement, okay? So my biggest area of room for improvement is, and I actually journaled this morning, is obviously relationships like I was talking about. And I said, okay, so when I first started running, I could barely run half a mile. Seriously, half a mile. Because I had a governor in my brain, David Goggins has talked about this, 40% rule. I don't even think we even get to 25%, okay? So maybe not even 20%, okay? Unless you're going to the gym, you're waking up early, and you're eating correctly, and then you're not even close to 20% or 25%, okay? When you actually start pushing yourself in sales calls or uncomfortability or public speaking or creative work or publishing what you really want to do, whether that's video or art or whatever the case is, I don't think you're actually anywhere near 40%. So I was journaling this morning and I said, okay, Charles, you barely even were able to ride or actually run a mile, okay? Then you're able to run a mile, and then you're able to run 2 and then 3, and now running for an hour isn't a big deal anymore. An hour and a half, that's when I start saying, wow, that's an hour and a half, that's a longer period of time. But I don't think an hour is long. How did I get to that point, Charles? I got incrementally better. And then I said, actually, yesterday when I approached that girl, and she wasn't about it, and I've approached many girls in the last week that weren't about it, some were, some weren't. I said, okay, so essentially it's not about the outcome, it's about the process. Because when I was running, I wanted to run further, but I couldn't. My cardio wasn't there, my leg strength wasn't there, my muscles weren't developed, the capillaries were not actually reaching deep into my skin. It was kind of constricted. I wasn't stretching, I wasn't hydrated enough. There was a whole different skew of things. And it's the same thing with approaching. So for me, this is how you have to analyze it. You have to say, okay, if I want to approach these pretty girls, I know it's about the process in the beginning, and then rather than the outcome. So the outcome is, I want her to give me her number, we go out and we have a wonderful time. That's an outcome. But she could have a boyfriend, she's not interested, she's not my type, I'm not her type, whatever the case is, okay? That's the outcome, okay? But my focus is the process. Keep on approaching. So I said, okay, so running, how did I get better at running? I ran for 4 days a week, okay, until I started getting better. Now it's still about 4 days a week. So it's the same thing with approaching is, I can't just approach on Monday and then expect the following Monday I'm gonna be as good. I have to approach at least 4 times a week. So I have to schedule that into my calendar. 10 minutes before lunch, 10 minutes before I go home. Or when I'm going between appointments and I have 5-10 minutes and then you see a pretty girl, walk up to her. Okay, that's the best way to do it, is that you just analyze an area that you're really good. Another one was Arnold Schwarzenegger. He said this in multiple videos. He said that when he was running for, when he won the bodybuilding conference, or Mr. Olympia, he then took that and he said, okay, listen, if I worked out this amount of days all the time, I became a champion. If I work on my acting abilities, then I will be the highest paid actor, okay, which he was. Okay, Predator, Hollywood Cop or California Cop or whatever that movie was. But he said, if I did this, I will get this result. If I do this, I will get this result. It's the same thing with us, is that focus on the process, focus on the decisions, focus not on the ego. The ego wants an outcome. Chaos wants an outcome. Focus on the discipline, focus on the order, focus on the self. Tree of success leads down. Each decision is 2. You either go further into growth or you go back into chaos. So if you guys have any questions, leave in the comments below. Have an amazing week. Okay, sounds like Morpheus, blue pill, red pill. I'm loving the concept. Life is summed up. Actions. I think watching sports makes me feel old. Yeah, listen, sports, honestly, you are living out someone else's dream or you're living your own dream. That's really what I boil it down to. I literally look at something and I say, is this exactly what I need in my life right now? Whether that's reading, eating well, going on YouTube, whatever the case is. I was opening Instagram on Safari and I was like, this isn't what I need right now. It's literally what it comes down to, is this is not what I need right now. So sports is your outlet, awesome. If for me, it's reading. I don't have a TV. I don't like politics. I don't get involved in drama. I don't really comment on anything. Maybe like once a month, I'll comment on something. I don't really care. I don't really scroll through that. And it's not like I'm like this amazing whatever. It's just I've finally hit I feel like an old man in the thinking that, holy shit, one day I'm not going to be here. And that's really what it comes down to. One day, I'm not going to be here. It's not about what you do. Okay, I'm sorry, it's not about what you did online. It's about what you did here in real life. Okay, online is not real. Okay, Great Morning Positive Reflections average Britain spends 10 years. Look at that stat that Chris just put up. Okay, 10 years of their life. Dude, 10 years. 1/9 or 1/10 of their life is spent watching TV. Do you think they're happy at the old person's home? Are they really looking back and saying, holy shit, I really lived up to my true potential? David Goggins has an incredible story. He says, listen, I meet my maker and he has a chart of what I could have been. And if I don't live up to that, it's actually, am I in heaven or am I in hell? If I'm in hell, that means here's what I could have been and I didn't live up to that. Okay, here's what I am, and I did live up to it. One is hell, which is chaos and ego and the devil, and the other one is your passion, your order, and essentially yourself. It's really what it comes down to. The flow is yourself, capital S. Capital S is everything. It's what you believe in. It is your morals. It is your ethics, and you're living authentically through that. Every decision of the day. Every decision of the day. It's not fun. It's not exciting. It's very lonely, and it's not easy. Okay? It wasn't easy when you see the headline, someone lost 100 pounds. It wasn't easy for David Goggins to self-publish a book, be number 2 behind Michelle Obama, and be 16 million downloads on Audible, or whatever it was, like the best-selling Audible at any time the past year. Like, was that easy? No. His life was hell. Do you really want to go through that? Do you really want to do that? No, you don't. But you're also going to be looking back. You're all young. You're all young. You're all young. We're all young, okay? if you're paying attention right now, which you are, this literally is the moment to just say, okay, this is serving my life and this is not serving my life. This is actually pushing me into chaos and this is pushing me into order, okay? And the last thing I'll say about it, and I know I've said that a couple of times, I have 4 books right here. There we go. So it actually shows up. And out of these 4 books, I've already talked about it. Brain Rules, great book. It essentially talks about what your brain evolved to do. Not what we want it to do, what it evolved to do, okay? And there's, that's essentially the brain rules right there. If you want to pause it and look at it, those are the brain rules. Vision, survival, exercise, sleep. Matthew Walker just put out, who wrote the benefit of sleeping or something. I forgot the name of the book. The Power of Sleep, I don't know. But go to TED Talk and look up Matthew Walker. He talks about people that sleep and people that don't sleep, the difference. Testosterone is up, neural abilities is up when you sleep. Best example, last night, I was in bed, I had an amazing night of sleep, woke up 5 o'clock this morning, I was fucking cheery. I woke up before my alarm. I woke up at like 4:50, I'm like, all right, I'm awake, I'm ready to go. But this is really the book right here, Atomic Habits. You can see how many markers that I have in there. I read this twice, knowing that it has to be the only way out is through discipline. All right, so if you guys have any questions, leave in the comments below. Have an amazing week. And I'll be definitely producing a lot more videos, especially on the comments that you have. And yeah, I would say that. Just finished reading The Power of Agency. I give it a 9 out of 10. That's another, so Power of Agency, just to boil it down to the people that haven't. Power of Agency essentially is something happens, someone calls you a loser, you're nobody, the IRS wants money, you just got fired from your job, you just broke up, something happens to you, okay? Some situation happens to you, okay? And then between that moment that something happens, there's a little gap, okay? There's a little gap. And that gap is what you do about it. And that's the response. Something happens. This is how people think it is. Someone calls me a loser, I reply. I break up with my girlfriend, I call her a bitch. I break up with my boss, I call him an asshole, okay? But there's actually a gap. And that the power of agency, the agency is to see the gap and say, there's a stimulus that happens, what's my response? A stimulus happens, what's my response? Something good happens, do I then fall back into laziness? You know what? I worked out every single day, the summer's over, I'm gonna go back to being lazy, okay? This big stimulus happened, my response is laziness, okay? That's the biggest thing, fanatical prospecting. Before you leave, best books on sales. Fanatical Prospecting is an amazing book on sales. There's so many. Just, you have to first start at the base level, which is how to win friends and influence people. Erwin's got, great ideas on it. If you go into sales, okay, there's 2 things you have to understand. The power of people. There's a great book called The Power of Questions. The Power of Questions, the power of people, and then the power of influencing, okay? There's an amazing book that I'm actually gonna be doing a second one. It's about, I forgot the title. I'm gonna be going back over it, but it is the top book on influencing. So essentially one of the best questions that you ever ask anybody is, say someone says no, okay? Charles, I don't wanna do business with you. You ask, hey, listen, do you wanna work together? They say no. And instead of say, why not? Because you're essentially solidifying their no, you say, if there was a scale of 1 to 10 and you're looking to work together, what would be one reason that you see the benefit of us working together? So you're literally plugging you're plugging into that little gap of, you know what? You're a small company and I want the private communication. You know what? You're going to be able to offer us better terms. I want a big company, you're a small company. If there is a decision that you can actually work together, what would be one benefit that you'd see us working together instead of, why don't you want to work with us? That's if you want anyone to change, That's the best question that I've ever used at any time in the last month, which is, if there was one benefit, what would it be? Of us working together, what would it be? Okay, before you even ask for the sale, before you even ask to work together, you say, well, here's the presentation, it took 30 minutes, and you say, if there's one benefit that you got out of this whole presentation, what would it be for us to be working together? Okay, sometimes you ask, were there any questions? Are there any objections? Is there anything you see wrong with this? No, you want to say, you want to put in their head of yes, and then you want to hammer on that yes. There are going to be objections, the price, it's not the right time, I have to ask other people, I don't like you have a small company, it's not the best offering, it's not the best terms, whatever the case is. I think Man's Search for Meaning, that is probably the top book for a male, by far. There is a shortage of real men in this world, and it is frightening. It is frightening, okay? I would say that's probably gonna, what's the popularity of Dr. Jordan Peterson? Is that he's giving the personal responsibility, which is everyone's duty is personal responsibility. It is you wake up, and people are not supposed to do shit for you. You do shit for yourself, and things happen. It's not like I wake up, and then all this shit falls into my lap. I'm entitled to all this shit. No, you're not entitled to a clean room, to a great paying job, to a great body, no, you have to work at each single area of your life and take personal responsibility. I'm taking personal responsibility. I like the way my work is going. I like the way my fitness is going. My relationships, that needs improvement. What do I need to do? Personal responsibility, I need to approach at least 30 minutes, 10 minutes 4 times a day, or 4 times a week. That's personal responsibility. That's the only way. Not Man's Search for Meaning. I think that's actually what you were talking about. I was thinking of the one by David Data, The Power of whatever, or the man's, whatever the heck it is. I forgot the name of the book. But essentially in there, if you're a man, which whether you are or you're a woman, doesn't really matter, but your single focus, okay, is something else outside of yourself. So when people become parents, obviously they say it was the best thing that's ever happened to me because they were so selfish before. They were just thinking about themselves. Now they have something to take care of. That something that could be taken care of could be a business, which is mostly men. And that could be a kid, that could be a parent, that could be a dog, that could be a charity, that could be something else, something outside of them, a higher purpose, okay? Because to be honest, we're a bunch of evolved apes spinning around on a pile of dirt in the middle of fucking nowhere. How do we get here? Nobody knows. How everything came to be, nobody knows. Like, think about those deeper questions. I think about that all the time. Say it was nitrogen, oxygen, helium, whatever the gases were that exploded, somehow created this big ball of mass, and then and then an atmosphere started, and then all this shit started growing on it. Water, and it condensed. What created the actual room for all the space in the world? What created gravity? And then on top of that, what created the actual elements, the gases for that to happen? Think about that. That's crazy to think about. What started before the Big Bang? Nobody knows. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Nobody thinks about those things. They're always thinking about, well, what am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to do for July 4th? It's like, if you don't have those higher questions, those deeper questions in your life, you're not questioning all this shit around you. Who created this shit? I have no outlet. And then going back to the David Data book, highly recommend you check that out. Essentially, is that women are attracted to men that have a mission. They have a purpose. Okay, and then you essentially insert things into your life. You have your purpose. So for me, it's building my business, it's personal development. And then I'm inserting relationships. I'm inserting time to go out with friends. I'm inserting other things into my life. But that is my sole purpose. That is my goal. That's my soul force. If you want to go corny, whatever the case is on, I don't know what it is for you. And when people say, what is it for me? You have to try a bunch of shit. That's it. You just have to try a bunch of shit. For me, I was a caddy. I worked at Olive Garden. I worked at a diner in Pennsylvania. I did online marketing. I did marketing on Fifth Avenue. I did HVAC. I mowed lawns. I did landscaping. I did door-to-door sales. I was at Oppenheimer Funds. I had probably 10 areas that I did. I said, well, I don't really like HVAC. It was engineering. I worked at a place called Ettinger Engineering. It was my buddy's father. He owned the company. I was like, okay, engineering is not for me. It's very dialed in. I cannot do that. Well, landscaping, I kind of like the social aspect of it and being outdoors and, that you are actually doing something, you see progress on it. Okay, caddying, I like the interpersonal activity between the members and myself. Okay, I like that. The diner, the same thing. But I didn't like the low pay. And that there really wasn't, I couldn't make an exponential amount of money. I couldn't really scale it out. So I'm literally picking and choosing. No one's gonna give this to you. No one's gonna give you the feeling of going to the gym and then you feel amazing. No one's gonna give you the feeling of your passion or your purpose. You have to discover that. That is personal responsibility. People are discussing so many things, but they're not actually working on themselves. They're not actually getting a little bit better. And the problem with that is that if you're not getting a little bit better, who is going to actually believe you about your ideas, your aspects in life? Who is actually going to want to date you? You want these nines. You want to date these nines, but are you a nine yourself? I want to be in shape, but are you actually trying to get into shape? There's a ton of people I work out with. They look exactly the same from a year ago. Clearly, they're sitting down all day. Clearly, they're not getting the sleep that they need. Clearly, there's nutrition aspects that they need to be working on. That's a fact. You can't look that way by working out tough, 45 minutes every single day, and then you still look the same. That's impossible. Your fitness level has to go up. And people will say, well, it's your body, it's things like that. That is such a small area such a small area of life, because why would nature put that into the population? Because it doesn't serve anybody. How do you test if your business ideas will work? Obviously, it goes back to Seth Godin, which talks about just ship it. Don't worry about it being perfect, which was my whole thing. And then there's also something in Silicon Valley, which is you have a proof of concept and you test it into the world. Okay, the best example is Amazon delivery. They used to do Amazon restaurants. They just squashed it. So about a year ago or a year and a half ago, they pretty much did what Uber Eats and Grubhub and all these other companies did, which was they had these guys that deliver food from a restaurant. Amazon tried it and it failed, okay? But their proof of concept was very basic. It started working. Then they had competition. Then they had a lot of delivery guys that were late and the restaurants were not delivering on time and they're refunding too much money, and then they stopped it. That's a proof of concept that didn't work. They tried it. You have to put the least viable option to the marketplace and test it. Don't make it perfect. I already made a video on all the problems that I made when I first launched my business. Number one is I overhired. I was not a good manager. I was telling them to do things that I wasn't doing, so I overhired. Number two is I overspent. Okay, I overspent on how nice my office is, how nice my computers are, how nice the systems are, the camera gear, all these things. I overspent. Number three is I wasn't actually doing what was necessary. Okay, I essentially launched by overspending, overhiring, and not doing what I needed to do to bring in business. It's not about marketing, it is about sales in the beginning. Then you add in marketing, and then from that marketing, you're able to sell. Okay, it is only sales in the beginning. You need money. Stop thinking of the bottom line. The bottom line is your overhead. That's your rent, that's your systems, that's your, all these things that you pay for. So I overhired, I overspent, I was not a good manager, and everybody left me. And for years, I was just owing money, always in debt. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that pressure. I'm really good under pressure. And that did not come overnight. That's essentially just putting myself in socially awkward positions and then being able to handle myself comfortably. And that you have to continuously do that. Okay, it's like going out on stage. You go out on stage once, and then 10 years from now, someone says, "Oh, by the way, go back on stage." You've lost it. You've lost that art of being comfortable on stage. And the only way to do that is if you do it, it starts working, you get the feedback, you get the confidence. You do it, you get the feedback, you get the confidence. And then you walk out, you don't even need the feedback because you have the confidence. And then you walk out with confidence. That's where Tony Robbins is right now. That's where all the great speakers, musicians, comedians are of this time. How did you realize your purpose? I said it yesterday. You have to go with your gut. You have to go with your gut. Your gut is yourself. Okay, you could logically speak yourself into success, but we're emotions, and the reason we're emotions is because language came second. Okay, emotions was first. You look at a dog has emotions, but it has no ability for language. Okay, yes, there's somewhat of a language between dogs, but I mean actually articulated language. In the beginning there was only word. The best way to look at it as I was at Oppenheimer Funds. I did not like where I was. It just wasn't me. I just didn't have a passion or a purpose for it. And my gut said, you know what, this is not it. I want to leave. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Literally, I had no idea. No idea. Obviously, Steve Jobs has talked about it. Looking back, obviously everything makes sense. Looking forward, nothing makes sense. But if you just follow your gut and your gut says, you know what, I want to become a triathlete. That's my life now, and I love it. Like I'm going to do this until I die, is be a triathlete, okay? Or until I can't. That's essentially what it is, because I just wasn't happy earlier this year. Anytime I'm not happy, I'm like, where am I not happy? Why am I not happy? The problem is we're being stimulated all the time by earbuds. Take your fucking earbuds out. Stop watching YouTube. Stop doing all the things that are just ruining silence. Silence. Your mind starts going, and yes, you can't handle your mind. That's why you need to pick up your phone and you need to be stimulated. I can't sit in an elevator for 15 seconds, so I'm going to pick up my phone. Oh, what happened? Oh, well, nothing's there. Okay, I got my stimulation, I got my dopamine, I'm going to get off the elevator. Dude, that is pathetic. 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 That you cannot live with your thoughts. You cannot. That's all people did forever. That's all people did. They would, back in the day, go see a play in person, outdoors, at an amphitheater, and people would be putting on a play with a mask as someone else. That was it. But they walked around all day with their thoughts. That's why I'm more self-aware. I say, why am I feeling weird? Why am I feeling anxious? Why do I have anxiety? Why am I not happy? And then from there, you say, let me try it. Let me try a triathlon. Let me just see. Let me bring on a coach. Dude, it is pathetic that you can't walk around in your life, and I am talking to you if you cannot walk around life without headphones or looking at your phone all the fucking time. Last night, I left work. I left my phone here at work. I went home, and guess what I did? Nothing. I read. It's crazy. I know. I didn't have my phone. Oh my God, Charles, what about clients? Pathetic. So deep work, I can go into hours with that. That pisses me off the most, is how obsessed people are. One of my buddies said they would rather, they see people that are so obsessed with their phones that they would rather do something else. What's your strategy? Refocus, mental fatigue. Okay, this is the last thing I'll leave you guys with because we're pushing 48 minutes. Okay, so there's a book out there called The Rules of Engagement, or no, The Power of Engagement. I think it's The Power of Engagement, and it's written by. It was probably 15 years ago or 10 years ago, right around there. Rules of Engagement, Power of Engagement. I think it's The Power of Engagement. I don't know. Go look it up. But essentially, it talks about that you can only focus for 45 to 60 minutes. I do it for 45. So this is what I do. This is, am I on the screen? This is a timer. This is 45 minutes. I walk in. I eat my oatmeal, which is in the trash because I ate it. I do the same thing every single day. I eat the same thing every single day. I don't need any variability in that, okay? Oatmeal, that's it's organic and gluten-free. Maybe, no, it's not gluten-free, but I need the carbs for my training. Then I do crushed peanuts, which is good for your brain. It's healthy fats, organic, and then organic raisins because I need the fiber. Done with that. By the way, it's in no gum coconut milk, which is a huge difference. I turn this upside down. This is 45 minutes right here. Obviously, I'm not shaking it to go faster, but I just turn this upside down. This is 45 minutes. I make sales calls for 45 minutes. When I'm done, it's done, and then I go to this one. 45 minutes, 15 minutes. I then take 15 minutes off. 15 minutes off is not on my phone. It is not in my computer. It is nowhere near any stimulation. I'm out of my office because I also want my office to be the only space that I'm making sales calls. So I do 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. When that's done, I re-enter, I flip it, the 45 minutes one, obviously it's going down, I flip it again and I do 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off every single day. Nothing is scheduled then. No closings, no walkthroughs, no appointments, nothing. That is my religious, 9 to 11. 45 on, 15 minutes off. 45 on, 15 minutes off. I could potentially add in a third deep work session, and I'm working on that because the power of that is incredible. I don't have my phone on me. I'm not checking email. There is nothing that is around me at that time. Nothing. Zero. That is my religious time to do what I need to do. Okay? Power of engagement says that you only have a finite amount of time before your brain starts blowing up, and then you drain all the willpower. Most people, they're not actually physically tired. They're mentally tired. So when they leave work and they go home and they're like, oh, I'm so exhausted. Dude, you're so exhausted because you sat in front of a screen all day long. Your brain cannot handle that. It's all stimulation, okay? Your brain needs time off. So say I do a pitch. A pitch for me is about an hour and a half. Pitch means I'm going to pitch my services to get an exclusive so I could represent them. That pitch is an hour and a half. I'm on the whole time. When I leave, I'm exhausted. But I'm mentally exhausted. I'm not physically exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted. So I don't go check my phone. I don't read a book. I take the subway and I recharge. I know myself. I know if I take 15 minutes, 20 minutes to recharge, I can get right back into it. And my brain says, okay, we're good. We brought down the levels. All right, so if that's any questions, leave it in the comments below. I cannot recommend the 45 on, 15 off. Leave your phone, stop going on it. You have mental fatigue, not physical fatigue. Recharging, there is no recharge. Recharging is not being on your fucking phone. That's recharging. Don't be on your fucking phone. Get off your fucking phone. Stop looking at it. Stop being on your computer. Stop being on your iPad. Stop putting in music. That's how you recharge, okay? People never had these problems because they were physically tired, not mentally tired, okay? That no offense to you, but that's just everyone's thought right now. How do I recharge? When do you take breaks? Why do you work so much? I did 2 hours at the gym this morning, like physical training, okay? I came to work. I went online and I'm doing this for 1 hour. When I'm done, I'm gonna fill up my water and then take 15 minutes off and I'll be fine. 45 on, 15 minutes off. 45 on, 15 minutes off. I don't look at my phone during those 15 minutes. I don't check email. I don't answer phone calls. My brain needs a rest. Those are the 15 minutes. That's your recharge. I just explained that. Get off your phone. Get off your iPad. Get off the TV. It's not working. It's not working. Do something different. There's no practical advice. Try something else. So yeah, that's no one's going to give you anything. I could tell you to wake up at this time. I could tell you to go to bed at this time. I went to bed at 8:30, 8:15, 8:30. I was up at 4:45, 4:50 this morning. Are you going to do that? No. Are you going to do 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off? No. That's it. That's the practical advice. But the problem is if you don't see an issue, you're not going to change, okay? You have to be sick and tired and pissed off and angry that your life is exactly the same as it was last month, as it was last year, and nothing has changed. Until that happens, and by the way, the only time that happens is not being on your phone, not listening to music, so your mind can go, I'm not happy, I want more money, I want to be in a relationship, I want a better job. Your mind goes, and you say, you know what, enough of that shit, and then you actually take action on it. But if you keep on dumbing those thoughts down and you suppress it and suppress it and suppress it and suppress it, you then come on videos and you say, how do I? How do I? Lay off the phone. Your mind needs to go. It needs to work itself through the problems and the solutions. Get off your phone. That is my biggest advice, is it's not working. All right, boys and girls, have an amazing day. July 4th, if you're in the United States, happy birthday, America.